Good afternoon and welcome to this edition of the daily COVID-19 update show here at Namibia Media Holdings. My name is Taiwan Jabela, your host, and I'm joined in the studio today by my colleague and friend Frank Stephan, who is the editor of Allgemeine Zeitung, our German daily newspaper here at Namibia Media Holdings. Frank, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Good day.
Yeah, so Frank, let's get into this. So as far as the news is concerned in the papers and from today's press conference just held a while ago, one of the things that are coming out now is there's a lot of confusion coming out. The health minister actually coming out today to say the Romanian couple who were the first people to be diagnosed with COVID-19, I think it was around the 13th of March, if I recall correctly, are actually still sick. Very sick, he said, and they are still in the country. But a couple of weeks ago, we were told they were actually the first to recover. So what do you make out of that?
Yeah, it doesn't actually add much faith into what's being distributed as facts by the government right now. Yeah. And I think this is really what it boils down to. If government wants people to believe what they say, they better make sure that their facts are right. And especially on the side of the health ministry, there are too many conflicting messages. We actually spoke about it earlier. It's the same thing. If you keep telling me that you want to test people at a rate of what was 96 cases a day, which is really not even close to enough. And then we heard shortly afterwards that they were not even achieving 50% of that target. But then on the next press conference yesterday morning, they suddenly speak of wanting to test 250,000 within the next 6 months. I don't need to calculate it to just realize that cannot be. And this is the same sort of thing. So government has a problem there, because I think they're walking a very tight line where people start to disbelieve them. And you can actually see it. People suddenly go into the street even though they don't belong there. And it's simply because they feel, no, this thing is overcooked.
I think my fear also, you're right, Frank, my fear is also that, we beat our chest. We are beating our chest all these weeks that, we are only at 16 cases.
Exactly.
But you can't discover new cases if you're not testing.
Well, that's the thing. That's why I've been saying that. To me, the testing is probably the most important issue. And they keep repeating that same thing. So it's not as if government doesn't acknowledge it. It's simply, there's always one or another reason why the testing doesn't progress as it is supposed to happen. So if we even speculate about approaching the peak, we shouldn't. I mean, the health minister yesterday again made that thing about, we haven't reached peak yet, but we're likely to reach it very soon. How? We've been on 16 for the past 2 weeks. So what peak are we approaching? So it's really sad to see that there's a bit of bumbling going on at the moment.
Indeed, Frank. So yesterday on the show, we showed you, the viewers, the video of people cramped together in the area of Koreakap in Katutura. So today I'll play a clip taken from the same area yesterday, where the police actually went and sort of dispersed the crowds and sort of also told people why it was dangerous the way they were training. Let's have a look.
Okay, so what they did, they told everybody not to be gathering around doing what seems to be boot camp. They should rather be jogging in different directions. And so the crowd is dispersing at a very slow pace. It's another there's other traffic cops inside, 2 of them. That is from the city of Windhoek, and then these guys are from it's actually the defense force.
Frank, a very worrying scenario there. If people are not meeting the government halfway, we are in trouble.
Yeah, that's the one side. But the other question is obviously, can they meet government halfway? Because I spoke to one of the members of the police force this morning. I prefer not to call name now.
Yeah.
And the police sits with a moral problem where they see these people out on the street. It is a problem.
Yeah.
But we actually wrote about it some time ago. Where do these people go?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're cramped into a shack, 4 up to 8 people in a shack, surely we can't expect them to remain in there for 24 hours.
Yeah.
So what happens is they go out into the street, and because it's so cramped, suddenly the street seems very full.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the one question. The next question is, if I don't have a fridge, I don't have electricity and no access to water, then I need to go and fetch water on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I need to go to the shop on a daily basis, because why? I don't have a fridge. So this problem is much bigger, and I think as time is progressing, police suddenly sees themselves confronted by a problem which they really don't have an answer for.
Indeed.
Because, you know, and that's why you see there's no force used there anymore. Yes, obviously they're trying to get the people apart, but I mean, it's a bit of a joke, because you see this whole crowd just streaming away in front of them, just being as close as before. So social distancing cannot be enforced, and it's a real practical problem. Solutions are not that easy to find for nobody.
I agree. Frank, before we go to the local statistics, just a quick rundown. So globally now, the COVID-19 infection cases are at 2,094,000 people globally. 135,000 people have died from the virus so far, while 520,000 people have recovered. What is interesting for me, Frank, here is, you know, just last week, or was it early this week, the US, which has become the epicenter of this virus in the world right now, as of today, they have only recorded 259 new cases and 25 deaths. But just a few days ago, there were over 2,000 people dying a day. What is it that they're doing right?
I think actually in one of the TV channels, I think they had it right. What's happening? It's funny if you look at Europe especially, and in America as well. It seemed to as if after a weekend you always saw that the numbers dropped for a moment, just to increase quite substantially a day or two onwards. And I think what you find is that spike as they suddenly start recording proper numbers as they start coming in. And then once the week normalizes, it goes down a bit. Comes the weekend again, the reporting is not as hot as we obviously see in our country as well. And then suddenly those numbers are dwindling again, just to spike up on the Tuesday or Wednesday of the next week as the numbers start accumulating again. But generally I find that we probably are seeing that in many parts of America, and especially in Europe, that it is flattening out. I saw this morning, a report that Volkswagen factories in Germany, for example, are seriously looking at possibly opening up over time now. They're not quite sure about how they exactly will do it, but there seems to be a sense that you need to normalize, you need to learn to live with this whole situation. And I've been one of the people that have been sort of in favor of that approach for a while now, because I feel, you know, one doctor said to me the other day, even if you had the sickness, you can quite easily get it again in 12, 14 months' time. Do we start all over again? So would we want to close our country for a whole month every 12 months? It won't work. So we need to find a solution, how we can survive in this scenario until we find a final vaccination or whatever. So I think it's quite a problem, much bigger than we always understand, because obviously the people who are working closely with it, the medical staff, they are even finding themselves in an insecure environment. So we're still learning about this. This is pretty much the same as we saw when AIDS sort of made its appearance in the early 80s, and suddenly everybody was unsure, no kissing, no this, no that, and you know, and then over time we got to know and understand the sickness a bit better. I'm almost sure the same will happen here.
Indeed. No new cases recorded in neighboring South Africa as of now. So it's still a long day. We don't know what will happen, but hopefully it stays that way. Frank, let's look at the slide showing Namibia statistics of COVID-19. So still 16 cases confirmed. A lot of testing have taken place. Negative results stand at 439. But in total, we have only tested 513 people since the break. The first case was confirmed. That's not a very inspiring number.
No. What sort of worries me as well, there are no pending cases. How can that be? And clearly we haven't got tests in progress. Because remember, NIP always said that they can get the result out within 24 hours.
Yes.
And then Pathcare takes a moment longer because they're sending it to South Africa.
Yeah.
So somewhere in between there should be inconclusive tests up to now.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit worried. That program doesn't work as well as it should.
Yeah. There's also on the front page of Namibian Sun today. Let's show again the COVID-19 testing. This is the people who are quarantined countrywide, 80 in total, and they are spread in those regions as it appears on the screen. One of the stories, our lead story in Namibian Sun today, is about the admission by government yesterday that a lot of people have actually poured into the country without. They were not quarantined. They were told to go self-isolate, and they didn't take down the contacts of these people.
Yeah, they don't even know who these people are in many cases.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe some of these people are like myself, who is seated here today, and I'm seated next to you. So these are the dangers of this whole thing. But let's in the interest of time, our colleague Johanan Kutsie was at the media center, and this is what happened today.
The Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture has 1,920 schools. This includes about 150 private schools, and the private schools cater for about 6% of our learner population. Regarding the schools that have access to the commodities, we are cognizant that according to the EMIS 2019 data, that's the Education Management Information System, which is based on the annual education census, Namibia's schools, only 32% would not have access to the traditional telecommunication. Regarding the electricity and the telecommunication, that is still to be developed, and with the partnership office to get electricity through solar panels and other connectivities, getting connected to the grid, that is underway. So this gives an indication of the number of institutions, the schools and infrastructure preparedness. Of course, electricity and ICT or telecommunication go close together, but we are also aware of that it's close to 80% that the country is covered through the telecommunication providers. So, of course, they will also continue partnering with us, and we are in dialogue, and my colleague will still elaborate on that. In terms of numbers of learners, of these 804,079 learners, about more than 400,000 learners are primary learners, and only slightly more than the other half is in secondary. So we have to cater for these learners. About 370,000 used to benefit from the Namibia school feeding program. That means they are the most needy learners in terms of socioeconomic circumstances, providing them with one meal a day to enhance their concentration and cognitive abilities for the learning. So at least we'll have to provide for those, the most vulnerable ones. So, but let me assure you, it'll be more than 400,000 learners for whom we wish to cater through the paper and pen mode.
Officials, as they juggle around the practicalities of returning to classes online and on distance. But before we go into that, just a comment from Facebook, Ephraim Shilongo, actually vindicating you on your comment around people jogging in cramped spaces. Ephraim is saying, I think police could recommend a certain number of people to jog in the morning and the number to jog in the afternoon, because boxing people in small spaces has serious mental problems as well as other health complications such as obesity, stress, high blood pressure, high sugar levels. So basically, Ephraim, thank you for that comment. We appreciate it. So he's vindicating you. But do you have any comment, Frank, on the education clip we just saw?
Yeah, I actually attended one of the meetings which they had 2 days ago, and I think the ideas are on the table. The problem is that people expect these ideas to be turned into reality within a very short span of time. Yeah. And I think especially the expectations on parents' side at times is unrealistic. Yeah. You know, if you have to suddenly cater for 800,000 people and you had no plan before, yeah. Yes, number one, I think those who are in the know and those people who are leading this ministry should have started planning earlier. Yeah. It seems as though they also went into holidays for a moment. And but at this point in time, they're trying their level best to get to find a solution, and the solution seems to be in a three-pronged approach mostly, because initially it was said four-pronged, but there's no real sense of how you will educate children over a radio program. Yes. You might still get that right with the older children, yeah. But certainly not with the younger children. So I think the main prongs at this stage are likely to be obviously television, yeah. But then also bringing it across similar to what we're doing here now on the internet media, and then lastly paper. Yes. Paper is very important, especially for small children, because how otherwise will they do their exercises? How will they visually see what is this? You see, the big thing is television. Yes, obviously you get programs now where you can stop it and play it back, but not everybody has it. So on the internet, your problem is, do you have data to download it, number one. I just heard her saying that you know, many people have access and 80% of the country is covered. Yes, the fact that it is covered does not mean that everybody has access. Number one, in terms of data. Number two, in having the right phone to actually access this. So these are huge problems, and I find that for once, paper is the most likely one to win this war. We always say everything is moving into the internet. This is one score where paper becomes very much more important. Especially because the person who downloads at home does not necessarily have a printer, so it doesn't mean he can actually print out the exercise. So papers, I would suggest that in this case, some are getting these exercises through on newspapers so that they can spread in the country more evenly and faster, is probably the answer.
Definitely. So a lot of logistical challenges there. Yeah. Okay, so we'll show you a clip now from Jovita Kanjumbwa, who is a sports presenter, just again hammering home the message to obey the guidelines.
Hi, good morning everyone. My name is Javita Kanjungwa and I'm a sports presenter and also an Namibian Sun sport personality. I'd like to encourage everyone during this time to please stay at home, stay safe, wash your hands and do practice that is social distancing. I know we are all going through a difficult time, but can you please all just stay at home and adhere to the rules and regulations during this pandemic so we find it all together and that we all get to come out of this stronger. Stay safe, stay home.
Get up, sunshine, move on, that feels so good to me. Get up, sunshine, move on, bring back sweet memories. Get up, sunshine, move on, that feels so good to me. The way you move, babe.
Yeah, it's clear that we have to start hammering home these messages because this sort of way of life will be with us for a very long time. I understand that we've got a number of clips again for you, just as we always do. People reporting from outside Windhoek, giving you an idea of what's going on.
I'm Edward Kangwanderu. I'm a volunteer. I'm one of the volunteers at COVID-19 task force. Yeah, I'm here at Cathedral Youth Complex. We are here. We are accommodated like plus minus 290 people here. Women, men, and kids. I mean children here. Yeah, we came here on the 1st of April. Yeah, with the first group from Cathedral Central at the near Roman, where we picked we started with 120 people. Yeah, and it was not easy because a lot of people, they were not having a shelter, accommodation. It's like the youth hostel where we are, it took only plus minus 70 people. But at the first we started maybe 100 people in there, they were overcrowded. But as I'm speaking now on the 14th of April, so far everyone is having, we are having two people in one tent. The tent, maybe the capacity of, it used to take 4 to 6 people, but we put 2 in. But okay, just like that, yeah, everything is under control.
I'm staying in Durham. So since lockdown, we have many challenges. It's like we used to get customers before the corona comes, but now like this time, there's no more customer coming here. We are suffering, so now we don't know what to do. So just want to tell them that they must wash their hands because corona is real. Yeah, and you want to tell them that so they must stay home Yeah, if they want to make the exercise, they must be 3 or 2 there to avoid coronas.
Are you sober? Yeah. I will bring a tester. I want to test you. Where are you getting it? Put it.
Papa, that guy doesn't have anything on the screen. Deal with him. Yeah, no, we are going to there's nothing on the screen. Just here.
Rosalia Tracis is my surname. Since there is a COVID around now, we are no more allowed to open our salon, so we are now just splitting outdoor here, and it really affects our incomes. Yes. Like we are not allowed to open our salons, barber shop, everything is closed. This can't stop us. We are just letting outdoor our client now.
Bring it here.
And we cannot stop like looking nice because of COVID-19. We have to try our best just to look nice.
I like the spirit of Rosalia there in the last clip from Katutura. Again, Frank, the summary of this is really the economic impact that people are enduring. You saw a guy in a tuck shop. We saw Rosalia there now also. So it's more than just a question of staying home.
Yeah, it's becoming a serious issue, and we've just seen today in the papers that report that found its way to the press. You know, if we in Namibia, or if our government is convinced that the Bankers Association does not know what they're talking of, then I think we're barking up the wrong tree. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah.
You know, we've got some very smart people in this country, very young and very smart people.
Yeah.
And at this stage, we simply ignore them. I actually am on record the other day on TV where I said, I find it hard that government still doesn't appoint a proper panel of experts who they bring in to advise them. Now it seems they've got a panel, and the panel is just there to do some lip service, and then afterwards we still do what we do. What I found disturbing is that the arguments given for the lengthening of this lockdown were not sound, and we were not able as press members to be present and actually ask questions and get clarity why this was prolonged. I mean, there might be good arguments for it, but they were not well presented, and with the fact that we were not allowed to be there and ask questions, it leaves more questions than answers. And you know, people are under pressure. We cannot afford to have every fourth person lose their jobs. We cannot. It's simply not on.
No, definitely. I see, because also one of our readers here, viewers, Chris Teron, asking about what happened to a sick person. Positive, died, funeral arrangements. Again, which speaks to what you're saying, because there were also some serious speculation this morning that there might have been a fatality, but we don't want to venture into that without facts. We spoke, our colleague, one of our reporters this morning spoke to the ministry to confirm that, but details of that will be in the paper tomorrow. Maybe, earlier on I had a Skype call or Skype chat rather, with my colleague Leandria Low in Swakopmund, also briefing us about what is happening in the Rongo region as far as preparations for the COVID-19 virus is concerned. So let's see. Leandria, please just fill us in what is happening in your region as far as the preparations for the COVID-19 pandemic is going.
Hi, Tove. Okay, so basically we have some good news. Yesterday, Roslyn Uranium handed over a $4.5 Namibian oxygen generation plant. So basically, this will provide oxygen for about 80 beds. Now, they are planning to build a 150 medical isolation facility behind the Walvis Bay State Hospital. Now, yesterday, that handover happened. So basically, this plant will provide oxygen, like I said, for 80 beds of this facility. But the amazing thing is that public and private sector has now come together to establish an initiative which will see that another oxygen plant will hopefully be handed over by next week somewhere to help with the other beds that are to complete the 150 bed oxygen, providing oxygen for the 150 beds.
Sure. Tell me, Leandre, also there was what is the status of that hospital that was tailor-made hospital for COVID-19 that was being prepared in your region?
Sure, Toivo. They started with the construction and the compacting of the ground, but then there was some infighting between our politicians on this side. So it stood like for a week, it stood absolutely still, like quiet, nothing happened. So yesterday was the first sign of hope that no, something is actually happening on this side with the handover of the oxygen generation plant. So like I said, they're busy with an Irongo Region Corona Care Initiative, which is an initiative between private and public sector to finish this hospital at the end of the day. Indeed.
And just finally, Leandria, the lockdown has been extended to the 4th of May. How is what are the views on the ground in Irongo as far as this matter is concerned?
Sure, a lot of people are mad, but they don't have a choice. That's the other thing. So there's mixed emotions in the sense of now that we've heard that about 33 people also came through the Walvis Bay Airport, like the minister announced earlier this week. So a lot of the people are they're getting angry, and at the same time they're panicking as well. But on the other hand, people are still defying the lockdown regulations. Just the past Easter weekend, about more than 60 people were fined in contravening the lockdown regulations for not confining themselves to their homes. Or the biggest problem is alcohol. So our commander for community affairs said that they have quite the problem with tombo, traditional beer and that type of thing. So things are I guess it's 50-50 basically. Yeah. But the movement, the police also said that they have quite trouble with movement, especially in the Kwisopmund areas and in the Mondesa areas in Swakopmund. So people are like, we will die of something else. We will not die of corona. And that's just some of the attitudes that we have here in this region.
Thank you very much, Leandria. That's a very positive feedback. Keep up the good work and keep safe. Welcome back. Just to clarify, in that Skype call I had with Leandria, our colleague, the equipment donated by Rosing is worth 4.5 million. I think she forgot the word million, which is human, so it's million. Frank, let's quickly just proceed to the interview that our colleague Esther Kamati had with Edwina Mensa Hasselman, who is a mental health specialist from
Geluk psychology.
Yeah, my Afrikaans is not very nice, but she spoke about mental health as how important it is, especially in difficult times like this. Let's watch.
While understanding the severity of maintaining good mental health, especially in this trying time of self-isolation and COVID-19. Today in studio we're joined by Ms. Edwina Mensa Hasselman. She's a clinical psychologist from Geluk Psychology Services. So thank you so much, ma'am, for coming through to studio today, and tell us a bit about Geluk Psychology. What services are offered there and where can we find you?
Good morning, Esther, and good morning, Namibia. Geluk Psychology Services is a private clinical practice dealing in psychotherapy, offering therapy and counseling to our clients in terms of any mental health disorder. It also provides coaching for day-to-day emotional challenges, how to deal with it. It also provides diagnosing and assessment of clinical disorders or emotional problems they might be there, and treating these mental health disorders. It also provides personal growth development services and wellness initiatives. And you can find me in Windhoek, Suiderhof, yes, anytime. We are renowned as psychologists that we are available.
All right. Now you mentioned mental wellness, which is obviously important during this trying time, but of course we need to take it from somebody who's actually in the field. So what's the importance of keeping that mental health balance?
As a mental health worker, I believe it is cardinal that mental health is part of our national health response drive for COVID-19, that mental health, as we are trying to achieve today, needs to be mainstreamed, and the focus needs to be on mental health for us to remain sane and calm and responsible in handling this crisis and this threat in a responsible way.
Definitely. And in order to ensure that it is handled in a responsible way, we of course need to make sure that time and time again we speak to somebody if ever we're experiencing such problems. So how do you suggest that people, in light of the self-isolation, how do you suggest that they not emotionally and mentally isolate as well, in terms of actually coming out and speaking when they experience any problems, especially for those who cannot necessarily get up and go see their psychologist?
Although we don't live in one of the epicenters of the COVID-19 outbreak here in Namibia, Africa, it is a very serious threat for human beings, and I feel that many Namibians don't take it serious enough because we don't have such high statistics. But those that do isolate, they can start to suffer from, as we call it in layman's terms, cabin fever, where you feel trapped, your movement is limited. We don't all have the necessary resources in terms of technology, smartphones or tablets and so forth. And we are also used to our normal daily routine, and that has been interrupted. Also our plans, maybe we want to study or we wanted to travel or expand our business, all of that has been interrupted. And we also, in terms like we see with the schools, there's now added pressure and responsibilities, and we are worried about that. So the first thing that comes to mind is fear. And fear can only be curbed like today with accurate facts. So if we have the facts, it can calm us down, and it can reassure us, and it can help us to maintain our sanity while being at home. So when we are at home, we need to still maintain some sort of routine. But it doesn't need to be necessarily the same routine. We can also alter that routine by doing the stuff that we always wanted to do and didn't get time for. We can now order our psyche, our spirit in our lives while being at home. And we can also come up now with enriching ourselves in ways that we didn't have the opportunity before COVID-19. For example, we can learn now a new skill or a new hobby online. We can read, we can empower ourselves by practicing different types of skills and exploring different avenues. We can also reach out to others. We can stay connected emotionally, and we can in the morning, for example, reach out and ask, how is a loved one or a family member? We can also get involved. There's a lot of drives out there, for example, collecting food and delivering it for people who are unable. There's a lot of drives of sponsoring, your time or your resources, if you have, to help the fellow Namibian. And so basically, we need to also learn to care. By caring, we are also applying self-care. So those are some of the things that we can do.
I think those are very useful tips that you gave there. But of course, being at home in your comfort zone, so to say, for the whole day, it gives it gives so much room for many things. For instance, people with eating disorders, they're now in a situation where they can be triggered to stress eat, amongst others. So how do you suggest that they deal with that and find their balance?
Yes, believe me, it is a challenge for all of us, because boredom also plays a role. And our mood is directly linked to eating, because if the stress hormones comes, then we want to have that good feeling, and that's why we go to substances like food, for example, which is actually sugar or alcohol and so forth. So the thing is to keep constructively busy. We still need to exercise at home. We still need to work from home. Like I said, we still need to learn. It doesn't have to be only formal learning, and we still need to do some household chores at home, and we still need to be in touch, like I said, with other people, and we need to keep to a strict healthy diet. We need to focus on our fruits and on our vegetables and on our portion keeping, and instead of going to food or refined sugar to comfort eat, we need to have healthy snacks at the tip of our hands, like carrots or cucumbers or nuts, for example, to nibble on. But the more we use our time constructively and the more we manage our mood, the less we will be tempted to comfort eat. And our mood is our immune system, mental health wise, and we need to keep that intact. And by keeping that intact, it means we need to exercise the mind to cope, to manage, to rewire to the new way of living after COVID-19. Researchers predict that our lives will never be the same after COVID-19. We need a mind shift.
And I like how you said that the mood is like the immune system of mental health. That's something to note. But definitely, lastly, what advice would you have? Because we know there's a lot of stigma around the whole situation of COVID-19. So what advice would you have for people who are currently being stigmatized? How can they deal with that stigma? And of course, how can society learn to be more kind?
Okay, stigma is as a result of misinformation, and it is a result of discrimination because we don't have the real facts. So we can get the real facts from trusted sources like WHO or our COVID-19 task force from the ministry or government, and we can also get from the Center of Disease Control the facts. So if you have the facts and if you are stigmatized or discriminated against, you can reassure yourself with that knowledge, and you can also share with a loved one. You can talk by getting the necessarily emotional support and reassurance from the next person, and you can also reach out to a mental health professional online. You can text, you can call, and you can have a discussion. We as Namibians need to learn, because we have been segregated for years. We have discriminated one another for years and victimized one another, and that's why we have marginalized groups. We need to learn that we are human. We need to learn to be empathetic to one another. We need to learn to take care of each other. We need to learn that the same blood runs through our veins at the end of the day. And we need to learn to celebrate our differences, because that is what makes Namibia and its people so beautiful, and that is what makes us powerful. And if we learn to do that, we will be more kind and nurturing to one another.
Okay, that's all the time we had for that interview. Thank you so much, Ms. Mensa Hasselman, for your very insightful contribution. And of course, I hope that everybody at home took something from this discussion today. And what I am going to take home is that the mood is the immune system of the mind, and of course that we need to learn our differences and that the same blood runs through. So I have been your host, Esther Kamati, and thank you so much for tuning in.
Welcome back. Frank, what seems to be confirmed now during this, while we were playing this interview, is that the Dr. Theoben Kandetu, who is one of the key people in the task force against COVID-19, seemingly confirming that indeed there's a COVID-19, a suspected COVID-19 death. They are saying that tests have been taken and results. NIP is busy working on the tests, and that it will then be announced to the family first, the next of kin, before they can come back to the public to confirm whether indeed it was the person was infected. What is dangerous, what I found dangerous, Frank, is that this person is not among the 16. And I understand
it's it was in a private hospital.
Yeah, private hospital. So already that must give you, again, we don't want to cause pandemonium, But it's very scary because it tells you that the virus might be, if that case is confirmed, then it will tell you, because you also don't know how many people came in contact with that person.
But you see, that's where this whole sharing of information to me is wrong. As far as I'm concerned, he should not even mention that it is a suspect.
Yeah.
And I know some people will say, yes, but we are entitled to. Sure, we are entitled to.
Yeah.
But now we've got all these people in uproar. There's a case of suspected COVID. Just to find that, remember the very first case we had in Namibia?
Yeah.
It turned out it wasn't a COVID case.
Yeah.
But for something like almost 6-7 days, everybody was running around saying, oh, we've got a COVID case.
Yeah.
And that's what worries me a bit. As far as I'm concerned, nothing should be said or done about something that I don't know for a fact.
Yeah.
Remember we had this thing the other day on the show where we said, is this true? Is it possibly not true? Then don't share it. So I feel there's a bit of a responsibility on whether it's Dr. Kandetu who might have just spoken to colleagues and they've sort of taken it out of context. I seriously feel as long as it's not confirmed, it's not a case.
Yes.
You know, what happens now is everybody's looking around and worried, was I in close proximity without a mask? How did it affect me? Did it affect me? And I just feel that whole procedure is not properly in place and there's no discipline on this thing. Because this thing is now rushing through the country. Yes, there's a COVID case, and it might turn out that it is not.
Yeah.
So you know, if you have that suspicion, clearly that suspicion should have been long ago.
Yeah.
So possibly the admission doctor or medical personnel didn't talk about it early enough. So those whole procedures always lack in discipline.
Indeed. Frank, what is next? What do we have next?
Yeah, we obviously still want to bring you some couch tips, couch potato tips, I suppose.
Okay, let's watch.
Good afternoon everyone, my name is Crystal and welcome back to our daily couch tips. So before we start, we'd like to sanitize our hands first. All the guys in studio are busy doing that. We've been working at our workstation, so we're all busy sanitizing all the time. I hope you're doing that at home as well. So I'd like to talk to you about our Namibia media events. We have our facilities on site, but if you have any information or anything that you'd like to share, we can assist you by basically you recording your information via Skype, via WhatsApp, and you can send that information to us and we can share it on our daily shows, the Evening Review, Klets Kompas, and our community papers. So if you'd like to share anything, please WhatsApp us on 0811 7010. For our first couch tip today, I'm sitting in a very relaxed position, but now I'm just going to sit up a little bit and then I'm going to cross one of my legs over and I'm keeping my back nice and straight and I'm pulling my knee towards my heart, just like that. Remember to breathe in and out as you're doing this. Keep your backs nice and straight. Look forward, breathe in and out. And then you just cross over to the other side. Remember to keep your back straight. Pull your knee towards your heart. Look forward. Breathe in and out. Just like that. If you have any couch tips that you'd like to share with us, just WhatsApp us on 0811 7010. Thank you for watching. Keep safe. Goodbye.
We will now close off with some inspiring photos that a good friend of ours, Charles Mubita, has taken at the Ngoma Bridge between Namibia and Botswana there in the Zambezi region. Very nice view of a lot of water there. The river is rising. And those are the numbers on the screen on which you can send your positive photos that can inspire a bit of confidence. You know, it's a very difficult time we are in, and photos like that, scenes like that can help inspire a bit of hope for the nation. I think that is the end of the show for today. Thank you, Frank, for coming. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow, same time.